simple medical mistakes. 251,000, 688 per day. 688 per day.
Third highest death rate. Unbelievable. And, I mean, and these are well-intentioned doctors, of course. How do they make mistakes like that, though?
Well, there's many reasons, one of which was actually done, the survey was done by Lucian LePay, who's the head of the Department of Public Health at Harvard Medical School. And he went around and took blood samples of doctors in the emergency room and professors who were teaching in the clinics and doctors who have maybe a 10-doctor clinic. And he found out that 52% of medical doctors, when they're on duty, are intoxicated with alcohol, street drugs, and prescription drugs. 52%.
That's huge.
Yeah, and I think we should ask the government, both at the federal and state level, to insist that we do breathalyzer tests on doctors going into the surgery room.
That's an interesting take.
And we do urine tests, do a screening test with a test strip to see if they are on any drugs. That would cut the accidental death rate by doctors inflicted against patients by 85 to 90%.
Well, you know, it's funny you say that, because years ago in St. Louis, I was outside of a restaurant having dinner before I did my local Nighthawk show. And there was a well-known St. Louis plastic surgeon out there, and he was drinking a bottle of champagne, and he was obviously inebriated. And, I mean, you could tell. And he was boasting about how many surgeries he had the next day. And I'm watching this going, geez, I hate to be one of the patients for this guy. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. And of course, it's absolutely insane, absolutely unnecessary. And here's where America has enabled these doctors, their colleagues never turn them in. And so we as consumers, this is why people are beginning to look around. And this is why people began to use things like Home Depot and Lowe's and AutoZone and Pet Boys and Amazon and so forth. And so we hold longevity up as a place where people can come to educate themselves, learn how to care for themselves, and make some of these terrible, terrible things go away. One last thing, if I may, George.
Sure.
It was a big study that came out. This is like December 1st, 2008. A big front cover story of Time magazine. And what it did was talked about that our children will be the first generation of Americans who do not live as long as their parents. The medical system has failed us terribly in this regard. Our children will be the first generation of Americans who do not live as long as their parents. This is an un-American thing. This is something we spend more money for health care per person than all nations will combine. And what do we get for it? That our kids are not going to live long. So we hold longevity up as a place where people can come to educate themselves and learn how to care for themselves and make some of these terrible, terrible things go away. One last thing, if I may, George.
Sure.
It was a big study that came out. This is like December 1st, 2008. A big front cover story of Time magazine. And what it did was talked about that our children will be the first generation of Americans who do not live as long as their parents. The medical system has failed us terribly in this regard. Our children will be the first generation of Americans who do not live as long as their parents. This is an un-American thing. This is something we spend more money for health care per person than all of the nations in the world combined. And what do we get for it? That our kids are not going to live as long as us. That the number 3 cause of death in America is going to be medical mistakes. And so we've got some work to do here, and I think people are saying, look, we're going to begin to do our own test. You don't have to go to a doctor to see if you have diabetes. You can just go to a pharmacy and get the same test strips that diabetics use to check themselves out every day and see what their blood sugar is. If you're thirsty all the time and you're urinating, a couple of times an hour, you're losing weight, these are all symptoms of diabetes. And here's where you say, I'm going to go get those test strips and find out, by golly, if your blood sugar is below 100, you're not a diabetic, but if your blood sugar is over 140, you're a diabetic. And you can do this yourself. It never gets on your permanent record. And in a couple of weeks, we can actually support and promote healthy blood sugar, healthy blood sugar and carbohydrate metabolism at the cellular level. And you can determine yourself if you have diabetes or not. You can weigh yourself. You can do your own pulse. You can do your own blood pressure. And I like people to do their own physicals maybe once a quarter, 4 times a year. It'll cost them $4.50 for their blood test, for their urine test, the equivalent to a colonoscopic exam. They can do it all themselves and do blood pressure, pulse, weight, and do your BMI to see if you're obese. You can do all this stuff yourself. And George, we can save billions of dollars a year and save lives by the hundreds of thousands every year just by doing it ourselves.
And then, Doc, if it doesn't work, all right, go to a doctor and tell them what you did and what you tried. But I think the best doctors out there, the best MDs, are those who also practice holistic type medicine too with their medical practice, because those are the pioneers as far as I'm concerned. Don't you think?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's been many great ones. And of course, when you talk about alternative medicine, alternative medicine was first. And it comes down to pharmaceutical medicine and surgery, or the alternative things. They came along next. And people got excited about drugs when they found the cure for syphilis with penicillin. They said, oh man, they're going to find a drug to cure everything. That was everybody's hope and belief. Well, unfortunately, it turns out that many of these drugs, with the exception of antibiotics, which can kill bacterial diseases such as syphilis and Lyme's disease and tuberculosis and pneumonia, bacterial meningitis. Other than that, there's not a single drug out there that cures anything. All pharmaceuticals are designed to relieve symptoms.
We devote 4 hours a month to the folks from criticalhealthnews.com. That's it. It's not enough, unfortunately. I wish I had time to do more, but 4 hours a month where Doc Wallach comes on, or Pharmacist Ben, or Dr. Joanne Cutaway comes on now. She's joined the team.